Yeah, some of the jobs, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're okay? Good, good. Okay, we're going to start our 6:20 scheduled meeting a little bit early. We're going to start it at 6:18. We're going to start off with a public hearing. So before we do that, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we have a public hearing tonight on proposed local law number 4. This was introduced in our January meeting. This is the local law to amend section 28-18 of the code of the town of Seneca Falls to add locations where public parking, or excuse me, where parking is subject to time limitation. The purpose of this motivation is to help out the new businesses in the Sackett Street district with limited parking to begin with, so this will enable them to conduct their business in a much better way. So, with that, is there any public comment from the Zoom audience on local law number 4? If I'm going to make a motion to go in the public meeting, Jack?
Yeah, motion to open the public hearing.
Yep, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. So I should, somebody please make a motion to enter into the public hearing. So moved.
Second.
Second by Dave. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Anybody in the Zoom audience to make comment about local law number 4? Town Clerk Greer, have you received any public correspondence in
No.
comment on public law 4? No?
No.
Okay. Thank you. With that, can I have a motion to close public hearing at this time?
I'll make a motion to close.
I make a motion.
Okay, Don, you can second it. Thank you.
That was Dawn.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to now go into our regular meeting. And again, I'm going to ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Yes, we do. Town Clerk Greer, would you please take roll call?
Mike Ferraris,
Here.
Don Dyson. Here. Doug Avery,
Here.
Dave DeLalis,
Here.
Steve Churchill.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Are there any petitioners from the Zoom meeting that would like to make any comment to our public meeting tonight?
No.
Thank you. Any person privileged to the floor? Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that approve the public, or excuse me, approve the minutes of the public hearing and reorganizational meeting and the regular meeting of January 5th, 2021. So I'll make a motion for public hearings and reorganizational meeting. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion there? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from our regular January 5th meeting. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. We go over reports. Some of our department heads are on Zoom. Some Highway Superintendent Peterson is not due to the weather conditions, and Supervisor of Water and Sewer is not. They were working on a water main break up until about 5:30 tonight, so they won't be joining us, but I think Councilman Avery and myself met in the committee, and if there's any questions there, I think we can answer them for you. Okay, can I have a motion to accept the dog control officer's report? There is no dog control?
So moved.
There is no dog control, I'm
No,
sorry.
no report.
Got it, no report.
I'll retract that.
I'll retract that motion. All right, then I guess I got a motion for zoning officer report. Second, thank you. And any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's our zoning report.
Yep.
What are you looking for?
Nothing, I was just,
just
where's the rest of the,
Well, what are you looking for?
I got them right here. I see them now. I got the rest of the reports. Put those there. Yeah, I just want to go in order here. Okay. Councilwoman Dyson, could you, your Parks and Recreation?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes for the Park and Recreation.
I second that. Any discussion? Don, Jim?
No, just, want to let you know that some programs are, we're gonna have some basketball, and we're working on getting that fitness room open, just waiting on the filters, they're hard to come by, I guess, but it's never will go well. But basketball's getting ready to start, and we've had some lacrosse meetings, and so we're starting to maybe see some light again in the tunnel, and maybe some programming, so we're real hopeful, let's hope we continue to trend up.
I think the filters Jim's referring to is, so we're trying to open up the fitness center. You have to go through the codes department from the county, and one of the requirements in the space that small is specialized filters for air to put onto our air system. So we're still waiting for those, right, Jim? Okay.
Yeah, everything else is ready to go. We actually got approved outside of just, we just have to get the filters. Everything else, safety plans in place. The equipment's been prepped, the spacing and the posting of the room is prepped. Mark Shaw from another county will come down and visit us and inspect these. We're impressed with everything other than we just got to find those filters and go in the process of it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion?
Yeah, Jim, just about that, you said you were constantly reaching out to train about this. Are we on our own to try and locate those, or?
Well, we're not under contract with Train anymore. We decided to let that lapse, be part of the budget consideration, because Aaron felt strongly he could handle a lot of the stuff. But we did contact Train. They are they are trying to find some for us, as is Aaron. Aaron has a lot to do about researching other vendors as well. The whole business within the next week or so, we'll get our hands on. There's only 3 of them. The problem is you have to be the right size. Couple are, one is a smaller one, and 2 others are, I think, the same size. But they have to be fitted into that system. So the Train is helping us, as is we're looking for outside.
Thank you.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor of accepting the Parks and Recreation report for the month of January, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Avery, Highway Department.
Move we accept the monthly report from the highway superintendent as submitted.
Second.
As you can imagine, a lot of conversation in our meeting about preparedness for plowing. They do have one truck that's down, but he assured us, well, first of all, he said it wouldn't snow the entire time that truck was down, so that didn't entirely work out well. But we're all set, and I think things have been out a little bit today. I think they've done a good job on the roads. We did have a conversation about plowing the sidewalks downtown and also out toward Ballsy Road. Not really a resolution, but just more conversation, trying to help out our downtown businessmen and also trying to do something that's fair and equitable out 5 and 20. We don't entirely have answers for both, but we did talk about gathering downtown sometime this week or next week and looking at it, scratching our chins and trying to come up with a response that is better than what we've got. Part of the problem is simply when it snows like this, when they do plow the sidewalks, the question of, they can't simply plow the sidewalks without also removing the snow because there's no place to put it. And so Jim brought up a comparison, for instance, with the village of Waterloo, where both ends of the village, both ends of Main Street, they've got a place where they can just push snow and leave it. We don't have that downtown. So everything we do downtown, when it snows like this, has a component with it that involves removal of the snow. And that's why usually it's done after hours. So it's not done during the day when the shopkeepers would like the sidewalks done. It's done when the truck can be there and they can get to the sidewalk and remove the snow. So we don't have answers yet, but we're working on it.
You gotta remember though, the Attorney General's office said that, you know, and look it up online, property owners are responsible for sidewalk clearing.
Right.
And I'm afraid if we get in like going up 5 and 20, plazas and stuff start doing that, and something happens, we're gonna be liable and they're gonna come back and sue us. I think we just gotta let property owners take care of it, either fine them, or I don't know what we gotta do, we gotta do something.
Right, and Mike you sent letters out?
I did. So we after not this week, but last week, we did the north and south side of 5 and 20. I sent notices out. I had zoning or code sent notices out telling them that it's their responsibility, citing our local codes and so forth, and with the stipulation that moving forward, you will be sent an invoice for snow removal. Whether we do it or we subcontract it out, you'll be getting an invoice. And if you don't pay, it goes on to their taxes. Problem is, it's a problem. And the problem is, there's no good answers. Like this kind of a weather, so the state plows come down 5 and 20, it's full, okay? The state, you can clean your sidewalk, and then the state plows come down again on 5 and 20, it's back full again. It's an ongoing problem, and I don't know, how to keep it open.
Does the code read that we invoice them if we plow?
Yeah.
I mean, where that gets really confusing is if a homeowner says, I don't want you to plow, don't plow it, I'll get to it.
We have to get to it by a certain time after a snowfall. So
No, I understand, but
I know,
we have to apply it to every neighborhood, every street.
you're right, they're like.
Just because they're on 5 and 20, they shouldn't be getting punished.
That's the problem.
So, I mean, I would be careful.
Well, I mean, we've done it in the past. I mean, in past years, they've sent out, right, Nikki, you sent out invoices in past years?
Yes.
And people pay.
They don't pay, it goes on their taxes, so they're eventually paying. Right, Pat, that's written into the code, right?
Yeah. And the big problems come when you have somebody plows their driveway and kind of piles it up and blocks the sidewalk. That's when you typically have, if it just falls on the sidewalk and sits there, that's one thing, it's not good, but typically that's not going to get the attention of the zoning officer.
And the issue is, I live on a street where there's 7 houses. 4 of the houses never shovel their sidewalks, never. And if I don't do it, then it never get done. But that's just a prime example, a little small street.
No, I get it.
They're in violation. I mean, they're in violation, but how do you go about
There's probably
enforcing
a
it?
huge percentage.
You can't go out and monitor all that.
No, but if we're just kind of isolating and billing certain people because we feel compelled to do it for some reason, I don't know, it just seems like, we talked about it last year, but this thing's got to be figured out somehow.
I think the only way, Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, you create a sidewalk district.
Do a sidewalk district, and you could encompass the entire town if you wanted to, or if you could do it, different areas.
Main streets,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, Main
Rock
Street,
sidewalk?
Business District, and the 5 and 20, you make a sidewalk district, and then I believe that would eliminate the issue that Dave is talking about, that it's a sidewalk district, and then we would have to encumber the price of cleaning that sidewalk district.
So if you wanted to, if you did that, if you did a district like that, you decide, is this an extra that you're gonna tack on top of the regular taxes and take on that responsibility?
For the homeowners that live there in those
Correct.
locations,
Yes.
within the district.
Kind of like a lighting district,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Well, you know, that is a solution, and it's one that's understandable. Whether the public would buy into it or not, I think it should be maybe put out there. We should figure out what's it really gonna cost us if we run a
And then if I had
podcast.
if we had a sidewalk district, and I'll just use a name, Fusila Ford does not want to participate, then they would they would be responsible, and then, but if they didn't, they would be in violation of our code. Would that be about accurate?
Well, usually the way a district works, right, is if you get the majority of the folks in the district to agree to it,
Yeah, there's no.
No, 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 no,
no,
There's no opt-out. It would
there's no
be,
opt-out,
you know, but,
majority rules.
yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
you know, and it's creating a district is like any other district. We have public hearings, you have to have a plan in place ahead of time to show, this is what it's gonna cost you. If you want this service, this is what it's gonna cost you.
Yeah.
So what about where we are, and I don't mean for this to dominate the evening, but where we are on 5 and 20, for instance, where there is only a sidewalk on the north side or on the south side? The sidewalk district only includes,
Where there's regular
Property on
sidewalks.
the north
Whether
side?
it's sidewalk.
because people on the south side shouldn't be paying for something when they don't even have a sidewalk. Does it take a local law to enact that, or is that just
To
a
enact
process?
To enact which?
To create a district?
To create a district is its own process on itself,
Okay.
where it's public hearings and such. It's more involved than just passing a local law.
All right. That's probably the one equitable solution, because you're either, you're getting
But-
it plowed, but you're paying
But
for it.
again, it's up to the property owners to either buy into it or not. But, so we need to kind of construct what that looks like and what the cost would be.
Yeah, and the cost is, I guess it comes down to how much it snows, obviously,
Yeah.
but you'd have to come up with something, I guess, maybe a worst-case scenario, and, figure out how many property owners are in that district, and then do the math and try to figure out.
I can't imagine it would be too awful bad, to be truthful with you.
Maybe we can get ahold of, Clifton Springs. I had treatment the other day. They had a John Deere tractor
But we
going down the streets
we probably have 3 or 4.
plowing, so they must have some kind of
Just for this
district thing.
We've got a couple of different things.
Seems like it.
Well, we've got that Ventrax, and then we've got the
We've got-
Bobcat.
It's not for a lack of equipment, we have all the equipment in the world,
It's
it's
just
not for a
labor.
lack of
That's why-
equipment.
I think it's probably not, when you divvy that labor up amongst all of those properties, I can't imagine it's gonna be too awful expensive.
Yeah.
And it might be welcomed by the homeowners, they don't have to do it.
And the problem downtown is there's so many vacant properties that, the landlord is not taking the responsibility of, it's one thing if you're open at 9 o'clock every morning, you're gonna clean your sidewalk, but if you're not open, nothing's going on, there lies the problem too. All right, we'll start looking at that.
Well, the other thing about the highway report is, they took down Christmas and packed it away. I'd like to commend the highway crews for the way the town looked this holiday season. I wish people were here to see it, but I thought they did a great job.
Let me, who's responsible for the lights that outline the buildings? When they start to go out, or there's a section
I
that's
think
sagging?
that's.
Is that town?
That's Cartersville Electric.
But they aren't town owned?
They're town owned,
Town
but
owned,
it's Cartersville Electric maintains those
Maintains them?
lights. The other lights, like on the bridge and, on Bailey Bridge and on the light posts and stuff, the highway department does that.
All right. Okay, because I noticed there was some
The
that
lights out.
hanging, and I don't know if they get paid attention to very much, but.
Yeah, back in the day, when, Bruce Benefiglia donated all those lights, and
Yeah.
all of us guys put them all up every year for probably 5 years.
Right, his guy,
He's,
right?
whose guys?
Bruce's folks.
No, like Bruce's friends, myself, and like
Right,
5 of
right.
us. We used, yeah, we
Put
did
him
it.
up.
You know, he used to rent a lift, and we put him up from, yeah, for about 5 years we did that. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of accepting January's highway report, please say aye.
Aye.
You still with me, Don?
I'm here.
There you go.
You said aye, right? Okay, thank you. All right. All right, Councilman Churchill, assessor's report.
Yes, I move we accept the assessor's report as presented. Again, she does make note, and I know that we, Dawn and I need to get together with her to discuss the revals, but didn't do it this past month.
I second that motion. Discussion. Deb, do you have anything to add? She's here.
I could not hear a word Steve said.
Steve made mention of your note, that we need, Steve and Don need to get together with you. He made mention of that and about the reval, so hopefully that'll get done. We can get this done in a meeting in February so we can start moving forward, okay?
Cool, alright.
Anything else on your end?
No, all good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, God.
All in favor of accepting the January assessor's report, please say aye.
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 So carried. Councilman Avery? No. I got to say. Attorney Morel, anything on your end?
Nothing that is not already on the agenda.
Okay, then we'll get to you individually. Councilman Avery, water and sewer.
I move that we accept the monthly report of the Water and Sewer Department as submitted.
Second. Don seconded.
Um,
Discussion.
Yeah, you can see what's here. A couple of things on the report about the Auburn Road Water Tower. They're getting closer and closer to getting the generator installed. There's new pumps there. And so very, very soon, in Joe's words, that water tower should be good for a good long time. They were out today, water main break on Miller Street. And so, as Mike can elaborate, they were out most of the day trying to work on that. And I guess there's a boil water for some at least.
There's a boil water advisory on Miller Street, and when we get to the new business in Code Red, this is something we can talk a little bit further about, but this ties in exactly what the capabilities of Code Red is all about, type of thing. But there is a, hopefully that'll be lifted tomorrow morning, but there is a Code Red, or yeah, there's a boil water advisory. Anything else, Deb? And later on in new business, we put out the bid, the interior exterior preparation for the pH system, and so we'll have a motion for that project engineering work in new business.
There are also some agenda items that you'll see coming up about the possibility of us replacing the water meters and getting the process set so we can actually go out for some grant funding for those.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of accepting water and sewer report for January, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman DeLeus.
Just accept the report from the court. I have been over there, so I don't know if anything else is going on major or not.
I second that. I can only tell you that it's very quiet. They are limited on what they can be doing at the moment, so things are quiet. I have them looking and working on their records management to get things in order. Again, my goal is to take care of the records management from the town side, so we can, once we get a lot of the preliminary work done, hopefully get a grant to look at digitizing everything, but at least, if not, a grant for shelving and so forth. There's a lot of court records in the Oak Street barn, town barn, that they really need to be moved over to the records management facility. They should not be in the Oak Street barn. But right now, we gotta make room for them, and they're starting the process of what they can purge and what they can't purge. Same as on the town side, what we can purge and what we can't purge. So I have them working on that now. They started looking at things on Friday of last week.
How about the building over here? What do we got on that? And
Well, I mean, that building, I haven't brought it up because, you know, that building's cleaned and gutted and, you know, it doesn't have any HVAC. It needs a new door, it needs a new overhead door. I haven't brought it up, but we're probably looking at, you know, $20,000, $30,000. I got some ideas about painting it, but I just haven't brought it up because budget was going on and everything. But in March, I'll give you an idea of what it looks like to make it. We have enough room if we purge our records. We just need to purge our records. You just can't leave them around for 30 years. They have to be purged. Some you have to keep permanent, but a lot of them, you know, after 6 years, they can be boxed up and either recycled or shredded.
Is there any way we get a grant for that building?
To make it like a backup secondary records, I don't know the answer to that, but I can look into that.
Well, last time I was in the building behind 10 Fall, there was a lot of old equipment and stuff in there.
All gone?
That's all gone. I
All
was
gone.
gonna say, you know, can't that go?
I have a lot of that, a lot of the police department stuff, like roadblocks and stuff like that is over there now, over in this building here, wherever I'm at, over there, okay? So it's cleaned up and everything's out of there. For the court, any active judge, their records have to be kept under lock and key, okay? So at Oak Street, they're under lock and key, but it's not climate control.
Right.
And we would probably have to do a little petition in our current records to put more court records in there, but that's not a big deal. The police department, if you were there in the back of the records, the police department has a secure area just for police records. And, you know, Chief Peaster is the only one that has a key. You know, there's probably 10 people that have, I don't know what 10s, but there's probably 5 people, 6 people that have a key to the overall building, the records
Yeah,
building.
no, my point was, you know, if we move stuff that doesn't need to be in
Yep,
climate controlled
Yep.
environment to this other building, and not necessarily have to go the whole thing on making that
And it's
document
done.
ready
yep.
in order to better use what we've already got.
Right, and I'd still like to put some money in there to change the overhead door, and I'd like to put some heat in there. It doesn't have to be climate control, but some type of just overhead heater, so that they can use that to work in the wintertime to restore benches, park benches, and things of that nature, to refurbish them, paint them, so forth and so on. Right now, it's, you know, based on the weather.
Yeah, good, all right.
Okay? So I'll give you an idea of what we're looking at over there.
I think when I was paying my taxes, Judge Lafler was here, and we got talking about Judge Kelly, of course, and apparently he's doing,
Doing great.
for what they're able to do. He's doing a great job. It's good to see his name here.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of accepting town justice report for January, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Councilman Delayas, public safety report.
Except the report the chief got here, and there's some stuff coming up later that,
Well, I'm sorry, Dave, excuse me, you make the motion and to accept the report, I second it, okay, go ahead now.
now we got, coming up later, there's a weapon and a vehicle that's gonna be on surplus. The weapon's supposed to go to a registered federal arms dealer, I guess. Maybe a bit on it.
Chief Peaster, anything to add here? I know you got a couple of things in the hopper.
Yeah, just a couple things, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I've been working on the agency's year-end report. I was hoping to have that done by this board meeting, but, not able to complete it. Because I'm revitalizing parking tickets. So I will be trying to complete that for the next board meeting as well, so. And also working on the, completed, draft of the, Governor's Executive Order 203 to present to the board, and that's on the agenda to discuss a little bit later.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor of accepting public safety report for the month of January, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I make a motion to accept the engineering report for the month of January from Barton and Judas. Peter, you still here?
I am.
Anything to add?
Not much, kind of a quiet month, Mike. I think the big thing would be the Safe Routes to School for the Frank Knight project. That is, the town has started reaching out to residents, procuring easements on the sidewalks, and the expectation is we're waiting on DOT to release construction funds. The expectation is to start the bidding process in February and have basically have some bids early March, I think, on that end. So the hope is that there would be a springtime construction for that project as well. To follow up in Doug's comment earlier, we are waiting on a delivery date for that generator at Auburn Road Tower. Once we kind of get that, we will work with Joe and the contractor to kind of coordinate some of the prep work that needs to be done. The town has taken on some of that work to kind of save costs for that project as well.
Have we finalized Calisano's work yet?
I talked to Jim today, Jim Calisano. I had provided them comments. I have not heard back on any response. I sent that a few weeks ago. He's been out of town. And quite frankly, I think that comment made it to the bottom of his pile. So he's reviewing the comments and we'll address that. So you and Pat and myself are in that line of communication.
Okay. On the phase 2 sidewalk program, that really doesn't come under Peter's umbrella, it comes under Matt Schooley's umbrella from B&L. So I've been working with Matt. As Peter mentioned, we got 60 some odd easements. We're contacted people and so forth, homeowners, mainly to cut down trees that are in the way of the new sidewalk. And I don't know, I haven't talked to Matt. I talked to Matt the other day, but I'm not quite sure how that's going. So basically, if we can get, once people sign off to cut the trees down, they're in our right of way and everything, but once we get permission to do that, then we're going to start that ASAP. And we might be using our town designated tree person to do some of that work, type of thing. And then even though it's in the scope and sequence for the phase 2, B&L would back that part out of it, if I remember correctly how that went. Peter, right? Sounds right, about right?
Well, we certainly wouldn't be doing the tree removal on that end, but we could certainly work down on what needs to happen. There is I think just pay attention to the deadlines. New York State current requirements on when trees can be removed for a project like this.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing anything until Matt tells me, so.
Okay.
Nothing. So, yeah, I gotta be careful of that pink guy's bat. We gotta be careful of, I know.
Right. Close enough.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor of accepting the engineering report for the month of January, please say aye.
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 Thank you. I make a motion we accept grant writing report for the month of January. Have a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Matt, you still there?
I'm here, sir. I'm here.
Anything to add?
Emily's here as well.
Oh, Emily, I didn't see Emily on here. Emily, you here? You're awful quiet. I didn't know you were there. All right, then, Matt doesn't know what he's talking about. You must know something about grants then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything to add to the report?
I would just say that we are working, we did have the call with New York State Archives to work with Nikki, as was mentioned earlier in the meeting, regarding proper destruction of documentation. So the town is moving forward with the destruction and proper destruction and tracking of files that have passed the retention schedule, which is great. I think that we've had discussion, I'm sure that will come up, that the Bridge New York grant has come out, which the town will want to take a look at, and I know that I've received a few calls, and we can talk with Peter and partner on that. Also, the Clean Energy Communities Grant, which has been promising to come out for the past 6 months, maybe even a year, actually came out on Sunday. So the town has been slowly prepping for that. Originally, that project was get 4 out of 10 high impact items, and now the system has, new guidance has changed. I'll be learning that this week and identifying how the town will be able to apply for that funding. Also, we are moving forward with the Green Innovation Grant Program grants. We have a draft engineering report, and that is ready, moving along to be turned in for next Friday, and there will be some resolutions on that. And the supervisor, Peter, myself, have a meeting with BPD tomorrow to review some project budgets and to make sure that the financing is all on track. That's it.
That's with the Bandino group. We have a Zoom meeting with Emily, Peter, myself, and Bev about all the banding that's been in place already and so forth and so on, just so that everything is kosher on the auditor's report as well as their financing type of thing. And then Emily, you got a couple things later on in the agenda that you're going to make reference to, right?
Sure will.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor of accepting the grant writing report for the month of January, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. So carried. Councilman Avery, Seneca Falls Development Corporation.
Right, just an update on our meeting we met last week by Zoom. Big thing for us is that, the Development Corporation operates the farmer's market, and last year for the coordinator of the farmer's market, they worked through the Cornell Cooperative Extension, and that group, that person, they don't want to extend that relationship into this season. So there are still things that the Cooperative Extension does for the farmer's market, but for the actual boots on the ground person down there telling people where their booth should be and so on, we're going back to finding our own person, and we've got a possible candidate in Luke Lorenzetti, who's a local young man, and he's interested in doing it. The Development Corporation has to submit a PARIS disclosure, P-A-R-I-S, to the state, which includes their financial audit, and that's been done and completed for the year. We did talk a little bit about the Main Street grant and things like that, because they were a voice in that, and the fact that that's not really a possibility for us for this year. And then we spent quite a bit of time on the Ripples of Change statue that's coming to East Baird Street beyond across from Generations Bank, and the site preparation and all that's going on there, and there's nothing much really to say except that we're moving forward. As far as the summer programs, they were hoping that the state would re-up the kayak program, that staycation program that they brought here last year. It doesn't look like the state is going to do that. So if that's going to be done, it's going to be done locally. But the sense is that the state, and you can understand it, they want to move on and do similar things in other canal communities. That's all I've got.
There was supposed to be a meeting last Friday with Menzo, Case, and Joel, and myself, and the architect at the Baird Street location for the statue, but that was delayed until this week sometime. So it's moving along. And the project is, we're going to be seeing a rendition here pretty soon, I think, of the actual sculpture, so it's moving along. Okay, any other questions? All in favor of accepting the Seneca Falls Development Corporation report, please say aye.
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 So carried. The only other committee out there we'll talk about under old business when we get to Town Manager Feasibility Committee. Okay, Town Clerk Greer, we have some communications. Minutes from the Heritage Preservation Commission, minutes of Town Planning, network news from Cuba Lake Watershed, letter from the State of New York Department of State stating that they have received and filed local law number 5, 2020, notice of public statement hearings relative to the application of Triana Solar Energy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll make a motion to accept the communications for the month of January. So moved, second. Any discussion or questions? Everybody has those communications? All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Attorney Morrell, how are we doing?
So up to the sale of surplus property, so as you know, 60 State has been on hold waiting on the state's, the grant program, the Main Street grant.
Yeah, I have 60 state rule. How about 115?
Okay, so 115 is ongoing. We've had some back and forth here with the prospective buyers, and part of that, I've been in touch with the owner of the rest of the building, who controls the condominium association that we know that property is held as a condominium. And so this is something I would like to address the board. I believe we will be having an executive session. Okay.
You're going to give me a motion to go into executive session,
Yeah,
right?
well, I'll speak it for
You'll
you.
get put off the cuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would like to also discuss this. There's just some particulars that I'd like to discuss about the property with the board, that the statute does allow for matters that could impact upon the value of real property as an allowable executive session, so I would like to address it in that manner with the board.
Okay. All right. Town demands related to SMI license and operating, that's the old one. Apparently they're going to be submitting their permit for 2021. Pat, have you heard back
So I
from the attorneys?
haven't had any contact with them other than, I haven't had any direct contact with them other than what we've all seen in the newspaper regarding their permit with the DEC. And, you know, it's worth noting that some of the demands that were made regarding our permit, or this similar thing appears in the DEC's initial response to the permit application.
And my understanding was that their attorneys have prepared something, a response. And
Okay.
just in the last few days.
Sure, I haven't seen anything.
You haven't seen anything yet. That's when Kyle Black talked to me earlier today, this afternoon, about the meeting, he said he was 100% sure their attorneys out of Texas responded.
Oh.
It just hasn't, I don't know, gotten to your desk.
I haven't seen anything yet.
Responded to DEC or to us?
To our demands for the permit.
Okay, to us.
So does this mean they're no longer using Mr. Turner out of Rochester?
I just assumed it was, I'm sorry, that's a bad assumption on my part. They
Okay.
have attorneys out of Rochester?
Yeah,
Yeah.
typically, yeah,
Okay.
they have for.
So my guess is coming out of Rochester.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. Berry Street Culvert legal update. We had a Zoom meeting with David Howe from Bowling Cove on the 18th, and he is going to, he reiterated some of the things that he said earlier when this came up. He's going to delve into it again, but the take I got is that, you're beating a dead horse, but he's going to look into it more. That's take, Dave, you got, and Doug, you got?
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that we can't get help paying for it, but as far as that.
Well, I mean, again, so the Bridge New York grants is, there's a new part of that grant for culverts, but there's got to be an approved project to make it happen. You just can't apply for the grants. Emily, is that correct? Emily?
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Okay, I'm talking about the culvert a little bit. We would have to have an engineering plan and approval of the project before we apply for the Bridge New York grant?
No, not directly.
Okay.
There can be some, it's best if you, when you're applying for this grant, that you do have some design, that is, and let me just, I'm looking at this right now, some potential like plans and specs, but that isn't necessarily needed. You can apply for that within the grant as well. So.
You need direction.
What's that?
I said you need direction on if we want to move forward with this.
Yes, and I know that, Peter has written an email with a couple of potential projects, and then speaking to Jim, he
Veterans
also
Bridge.
mentioned potentially the Rumsey Street Bridge.
Right.
So the town need to identify, what project they would want to apply for. And again, yes, the Bridge New York grant, although it's called Bridge New York, has both a bridge portion and a culvert portion. And the town can apply for one of each if that's what they wanted to do. They call it Bridge New York, but it is the bridge and culvert.
Okay.
Culver, New York just doesn't have that poetic.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So, Emily, would you need a decision tonight to say from the board, we would like to look at funding for this with the Bridge New York grant?
Honestly, I don't think it's necessary that we have it tonight.
Okay.
I would want to speak with Peter as well. Peter has a good idea as to where each of these projects are and which one would also be eligible. This is not due for a few more months.
Okay.
So we want the town to be thinking about it. We want them to recognize that this Bridge New York funding only comes out every 2 years, and it should have come out last year and it didn't, so this is actually year 3. So if they do want to take advantage, they do want to have that conversation of what would be potentially the best project or the top 2 projects they would like to apply towards.
Okay. Well, as far as I'm on my radar, I think the only thing was, and I know we got some Veterans Bridge work to be done, and I don't think there's anything else that is on anybody's radar. Peter, is there anything else that I'm missing on?
Yeah, Veterans Bridge and the Bayard Street culvert.
Right.
We can certainly touch, Matt can talk to Jim on the Rumsey Street Bridge, but I think given the scope and the cost, I think Culvert New York is about a 50% grant. There's, I think, $50 million allocated for Culvert New York and $90 million for Finger Lakes area and bridges. There's a lot more bridge projects out there. It's going to be a lot more competitive. I think the message for Bayard Street is pretty solid with the history, and I think a lot of support that the town should be able to get from, Tails and Senator Helmy, and I think there's a strong support system on Bayard Street. We think that's got a really high likelihood. And I think last month we talked a little bit, the other potentials are, CDBG that, Emily had discussed. There's a lot of co-funding, possibly some co-funding opportunities too. So, we would highly recommend the town advance Bridge New York. I think that's right now the best program. When we started this project, we didn't think that was applicable simply because of the time, but we're a year plus into this, and now it's coming up. So timing looks good.
Okay.
And that's what I mean about getting help.
And Peter, if I could ask, the town has submitted this grant, this Bridge New York in the past. Was it for the same project, or was it a different project?
I don't know. I didn't think it would predate me. Certainly not the Bayard Street project.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, Bayard Street. So that was one the town didn't realize wasn't theirs until about a year and a half ago. So that's the new one.
I'm sorry, Doug.
I was just going to say, that's what I meant about getting help to pay for it.
And what, did I hear that it's a 50% grant? I mean, if you are awarded, it's 50% of the project?
I believe so, right? Emily, 50% of the culvert project, right?
I'm double checking, but I believe that is accurate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it's 50.
So, if you know, nothing else, and we got that, and nothing else, you're, you know, again, we're talking ballpark here, 100, or you're looking at,
$1 million.
yeah, you know, maybe, you know, I was gonna say 750 to $1 million, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I guess we're gonna have to stew on that, and,
Well,
Mark,
you should apply for the grant, see how that settles out.
Yeah, I don't-
Doesn't sound like we have to
There's no question
approve the
about that.
project, what I just heard, to
Right.
apply for the grant, so we should definitely move forward applying for the grant.
Don, you good with that?
Yep.
David, you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Emily, you heard, right, Peter? Okay. All right, new business, approval of special events, I'm assuming we don't have any. I need a motion.
I've not received any back, so we're good to go.
Okay, thank you. I was covering for you, I just thought you were gone, so.
I'm here,
All right.
listening intently.
Now, you skipped a couple items,
I
didn't you?
did?
Yeah, D and E and open.
Town manager,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah, I'm sorry. Right, sure. What else did I skip?
that's it.
Kingdom Road.
Oh, Kingdom Road, yeah, holy Christ. My check marks get ahead of me. So Town Manager Feasibility Committee, there was a special board meeting in January that all the board members attended, and a lot of good discussion with the committee and the board members, and it was decided at that meeting that there would be another special public meeting on February 17th at 6 o'clock. I want everybody to make sure they write that down in their notepads. It's an open public meeting, February 17th at 6 p.m. at the community center. And there's going to be a Zoom guest who will speak to us about possibly looking at government efficiency in Seneca Falls. It's the Council for Government Reform or something of that nature, who will talk to us and the committee, what services they possibly provide, what they could do, and before moving into appointing a manager, what the study will look at and make recommendations about the efficiency of our government type of thing. I think about right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, that is, please make sure everybody's got that in their calendar. Nikki, make sure you make public notice meeting, please. Thank you. Kingdom Road sewer main update. So I guess we decided on what direction we're going in. Now I guess it's time to start looking at how it's going to happen. In new business, we're going to be appointing a town manager. Without a town engineer. Without a town engineer, you really need their input into what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And at that point, then you do an engineering design, and then you do, obviously, the construction and put everything out to bid type of thing. So we're moving forward with that type of thing, and we have some grants applicable to that as well. Am I correct on that, Emily?
Hi, yep. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, I guess we can talk more about that when we get to new business, but we can start rolling that ball down the hill. Okay. Number 2 under new business, I'm going to make a motion that the town of Seneca Falls adopt the Robert Rules of Order for board meetings for 2021. Have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you. That's something we should have done in the reorganizational meeting in January. My mistake, so just so that it's there. So we have, supposedly every board needs to be operated under some set of rules. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. We have a resolution of the Geneva City Council pertaining to SMI. everybody has this. I'm not gonna read it verbatim, but it's Resolution 8, 2021, from the Geneva City Council. It closed the Seneca Meadows landfill, support Seneca Falls Town Local Law 3. The purpose of this resolution, adopted on 12/27/2020, is to announce support for the Seneca Falls Town Board Local Law Number 3, which statutorily forbids the expansion of Seneca Meadows Incorporated landfill located in the town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County, New York. Whereas the local law was originally passed in 2016 and reaffirmed again by a second vote in October of 2018. Therefore, now be it resolved that the City Geneva Council supports and endorses the Seneca Falls Town Board and its residents in maintaining its local law number 3 and further reaffirming it on an ongoing basis for the benefit of the entire region. Be it further resolved that the City Council requests that the New York State DEC reaffirm and present in its anticipated new solid waste management plan for release in early 2021 a strategy to support local strategies and projects that will gradually eliminate the need for mega landfills in New York State, including the SMI operation. And finally, be it further resolved that certified copies of this resolution were forwarded to the following people. Supervisor, Materials Management Division Director David Vitale, Basil Seagos, Commissioner of New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Seneca County Board of Supervisors, Ontario County Board of Supervisors, and Governor Andrew Cuomo from the state of New York. Okay. Local law number 4. So we had a public hearing prior to this law, or this meeting, and there was no public comment on local law number 4. So now we have to pass a resolution to amend local law, or amend section 280-18. So, resolution authorizing adoption of the town board of the town of Seneca Falls of local law number 7. Nope, sorry, typo.
Number 4.
Number 4. You almost had me there. Number 4 of 2020. Whereas a public hearing was held duly.
2021?
2021. Wow.
So, you caught me recycling a resolution.
Resolution authorizing adoption of the town board, by the town board of the town of Seneca Falls of local law number 4, 2021. Whereas a public hearing was held duly on February 2nd, 2021 at the Seneca Falls town offices and virtually via Zoom, and all parties in attendance were permitted an opportunity to speak on behalf of or in opposition to said proposed local law or any part thereof. And whereas pursuant of Part 616 of the implementation regulations pertaining to Article 8 State Environmental Equality Act, it has been determined that the town board that adoption of said local law would be a type 2 action under 6 NYCRR 617.5C 22 and 33. And whereas after deliberation and consideration of the comments submitted by the town residents and other interested parties, the town board of the town of Seneca Falls finds it in the best interest of the town to adopt said local law. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Seneca Falls hereby adopts said local law number 4 entitled A Local Law to Amend Section 280-18 of the Seneca Falls Town Code relating to time limit parking, a copy of which is attached hereto and made part of this resolution. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting, or her meeting, in the local laws of the town of Seneca Falls and give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of the State of New York. Have a second for that resolution, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Okay, we have town engineering services. We have a motion or resolution here Whereas the town conducted a request for proposal for engineering services due to the town clerk's office by December 21st, 2020. Whereas the RFPs were opened at a special board meeting conducted December 30th, 2020 at 12 p.m. And whereas after review of the RFP with the town supervisor and other members of the town board, now therefore resolved that the town of Seneca Falls appoints the MRB Engineering, Architecture, and Surveying Group as the town engineers for 2021. Have a second for that, please.
I'll second it,
Thank you.
just to get us to conversation.
Sure. Discussion.
As I've thought about this, I'm not sure I'm ready to move ahead. It may be, I know there are price differences. The way the two proposals are written it's not really possible to get the same information. For instance, the MRB, the B&L proposal is very specific about which staff members, what their hours are, and then the MRB says something to the effect of the typical rate is, and I don't see how those two compare. I would also like to recommend, because this is an important discussion for us because we have so many engineering projects in the works right now, that we actually get a chance to sit down with somebody from MRB and talk to them before we move ahead. I'd like to see what we're getting, rather than just simply going on we think this firm is going to be a little bit cheaper than what we have now.
I would agree with Doug in that. I was kind of surprised. First of all, Barton and LaJudas, I think, has done a good job. I think there's sticker shock whenever you have an engineering group. It's a lot of money to pay these groups. When you read through all of these presentations, I mean, they all say essentially the same thing. They all say, we're wonderful, we provide all these services, and this is why we're different than the other guys. But at the end of the day, they're a group of engineers, professional engineers. I do like the fact that Barton LaJudas has folks on staff that deal with environmental issues regarding landfills specifically, and they provide services to landfills, so that's something I think that we certainly need. I didn't see that in MRB. I agree with Doug. MRB in their proposal, when it comes to what their charges are, has essentially 3 lines: typical billing rates, 1, 2, 3. Where MRB has a complete breakdown of all of their billing rates for their folks. For B&L, thank you. So I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know what it's going to get us. I agree with Doug. Just reading this, there's nothing compelling in one or the other that makes me want to change. So I think I would support that we stay with Barton LaJudas at least.
Oh, we have a resolute motion.
I understand that.
So
I'm not going to support changing to MRB, I guess is what I'm saying.
If you vetted all the proposals, and you've had them since December 30th, I guess if you wanted to have interviews, because Doug and Steve, you both had them at the same time I had them.
Yep.
I don't know why we didn't say that. I put it out to both of you about the process. Steve, you were supposed to create a spreadsheet. You never did that. So I finally took the initiative, and I did a compare and contrast, and nothing. No comment, nothing.
Well, this is what I thought we were going to do.
You don't have to make a decision on an email. A comment would be, Mike, I think it would be a good idea that we conduct interviews so that we can have the interviews before February 2nd. So now, if we're going to kick this down the road again, now in February you're going to conduct interviews, and now you're not going to make an appointment until March, which is not the end of the world, but in my world, it's one less thing I got to check off. And I think B&L is a very capable engineering firm. And I think our town engineer, dedicated to most of our projects, is a very capable professional. I think MRB and I think Hunt Associates are reputable engineering firms. But if we're talking about saving money, okay, MRB's proposal is less expensive. The average rate for B&L to the town engineer is $190 per hour. The average rate for MRB's lead engineer is $160 an hour. That's $30 an hour.
We think.
No, not we think, we know.
We don't know from this document, so
Okay.
if you've had a conversation with somebody, then, you know, share it with us. Someone tried to run it.
I don't know who that is, but I'd like to mute him. So, my interpretation is that that's what is the rate for MRB for the lead engineer is $160.
Where did you get that though?
It's,
It's not in here. In here, typical billing rates, senior civil engineer, 165, senior planning associate, 140, civil engineer 120. That's it.
right. So I'm assuming we would have this, the most expensive person is $165.
Well, civil engineer isn't necessarily a principal engineer or a project manager.
I thought you probably would have written one down.
You know, here's Barton and LaJudas' breakdown. You know, executive manager 260, manager 4 230,
Thank you.
principal engineer, manager 3 190. I mean, right down the line, professional. I mean, they got them all broke down.
Which are all higher rates than MRB's.
Well, I don't know. I don't see anything that's equivalent to here. I mean, I don't see. I see civil engineer, planning associate.
Whoever's on Mary's iPad, I'm not sure who Mary's iPad is. Could you mute yourself, please? I don't know who Mary is.
It's me,
It's
I'm
who?
trying to turn it off.
It's who?
You should have a
Gene,
mute
go.
all.
Okay, Gene, can you turn off, can you mute yourself, please?
I don't
Hey.
know what's going on here.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
I just
And-
don't see it.
And if you look at the grant writing services and all the additional services that MRP provides, that B&L doesn't, grant writing services is like $20,000.
We have a grant writing service. That's with MRB.
But if they become the town engineers, did you read the proposal?
Yeah.
If you read under the proposal, if you look at what services they provide, that it wouldn't be charged for.
I didn't see anything.
And they don't charge for
Oh,
attendance at
oh.
meetings.
So they're gonna stop charging for grant writing services.
On the projects that they are involved in, yeah.
I didn't get that from them.
I didn't either.
You know.
Well, I didn't bring my own copy.
On our grant writing process, you know, we still.
Yeah,
Do you have the column under service here? Let me see.
Now, I think there's ways we can save money with our engineering firm, whoever we pick. Number one, I don't know that we need a professional engineer sitting here for 4 or 5 hours.
Value-added services. A strong relationship with Seneca Falls means that it's in everyone's best interest that we fully understand your needs and that you are fully informed about the opportunities ahead of you. To that end, we have developed a set of value-added services which you will never receive a bill. Grant research and writing, economic development advisory services, board and staff training, regulatory briefings and updates, and board and staff facilitation. I don't know, it's right there.
No charge, all of those services.
It
I
says, for which, in bold black letters, for which you will never receive a bill. What does that mean?
I don't know. Sorry.
We don't know, because either
Okay.
Emily's suddenly free,
Right.
which I doubt, or are we paying $160 an hour for Emily? I don't know.
Okay.
So that, we're not in a hurry. I understand, and, you know, I like to check things off on my list too, but we're not in a hurry. We have an engineer.
It really,
So guys, why couldn't we do this month? Or January? Why couldn't we do this in January?
Because it's something we all needed to be here to talk about.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, approval, absolutely,
No.
approval,
No,
absolutely. But you people had you guys had the RFPs, okay? Why didn't somebody answer my email or pick up the phone and say, Mike, can you arrange to have the prospective engineering firms come in for an appointment? And then I would facilitate a meeting with each of these engineering firms, and we would come back to the board in February 2nd and make a recommendation.
Because I made a conscious decision that we would talk about it tonight, and that would be my request, and I'm no more wrong than you are. It may not be the way you wanted to do it, but it's not wrong. We don't have enough information to move forward. If there's these kinds of questions out there, it would be irresponsible for us to move forward until we get answers.
All right, further discussion. Dave, anything?
Or we stay the course.
Don, anything?
Yeah, no.
Okay. And also, if you read the prospectus, we don't get charged for their attendance at meetings. Right now, we're getting charged $190 an hour, or sorry, $190 per meeting. Okay? So again, we can, whatever this resolution goes, wherever it goes, but please, when a final decision is being made, hopefully in March, please, let's not confuse money and services. Let's make sure that we're doing what's best financially for the taxpayers. Because I think there's a big difference. My interpretation is the most that we would be being charged in an engineering, professional engineering, is $165. Okay? I think it's a big difference between $190 and $165.
It is.
And if you look at what the lead, so for phase 1 and phase 2, that was $260 per hour. $260 for phase 1, phase 2 sidewalk program. $260.
Okay, why did MRB say typical billing rate? Why
I
didn't
don't
they say
know.
maximum billing rate?
Absolutely.
So we have questions.
Absolutely.
So we should be able to sit down with this.
Not a problem.
Okay.
We have a resolution, we'll see how the vote goes, and we'll go.
Well, we can I'll move that we table this resolution since we want to get more information. Is there a second on the table?
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor of tabling the resolution to the motion to appoint town engineer, please say aye for the tabling motion.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay?
Aye.
Okay, so that's, by a 3-2 vote has been tabled, okay? So we won't be appointing a town engineer this evening. Then I'm gonna just say now, I need some times that were available, okay, to meet with the engineers. You want me to bring in representatives from B&L, MRB, and Hunt?
I'm fine with narrowing it down to MRB and B&L, and I don't know that we need to, I don't really have questions for B&L. For my own purposes, I would like to talk to MRB.
You just want to talk to MRB. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, and we start there. If
Well,
we
let's
decide-
not start there. We're gonna come to a decision tonight.
We can meet with MRB, but if we decide, if some of us on this board, Mike, decide they would also then like to meet with B&L and they get others in agreement, then maybe perhaps we do that. We don't have to decide everything tonight.
We're not deciding anything
Well,
tonight.
no, you're deciding exactly how we're gonna proceed.
Okay,
And
so-
you're wrong in doing that. You do it all the time. You are not our boss.
I never
We're
said
a
to be,
board.
but I'm not your boss,
We're a
but I do
board.
all the work.
We are
okay?
a board. We
These
are a
guys
board.
do the work. I do some work.
We are a board.
We're a board,
That's
all
correct.
equal, that all 5 people should be pulling their
That's
weight.
correct, and we make
And you
decisions.
do not pull your weight. Plain and simple, you do not. You come to 1 meeting a month and you do nothing in between.
Well, it was at 2 meetings
Okay?
in January.
I don't care, it's January,
We
December,
just said
or
we do
March.
1 meeting a month. I'm
For-
sorry, I corrected you.
There's a lot of things in between,
If we're
okay?
going to run
That
through the
needs to
board,
be
Well, there's a
done.
lot of things in my life that are going on.
A lot of things in my life, and you
That
should
has
have ran
nothing
for
to do
office.
with you
Guys,
and
You
this
should
town.
have ran for office,
Guys,
okay?
Okay,
And you know what?
Okay.
Okay.
Don't,
I'm here. You don't like it? Leave.
Steve, don't tell me,
I'm here for 3 more years.
don't tell me that I'm not your boss. I never said I was anybody's boss.
You
I
did.
just want all 5 people to pull their weight. That's all I want, okay? So when you start pulling your weight, I'll be more than happy to
I'm pulling my
listen.
weight, Mike.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I don't meet your specifications, but that's
Okay,
tough.
okay.
Well,
So let me paraphrase,
Go ahead.
okay? Can I come to a consensus that at least we can come to the March meeting and make a recommendation in March, or we're not comfortable with that either?
Yeah, for me, we can, but it may, Steve is right, we may
Right.
ask to meet with B&L
Right.
also, but I think we can.
But we can
all
do it in a
together.
month's time frame.
Yeah.
Can we do it in
I
a month's time?
hope, yes.
Okay.
And make recommendations.
Sure.
Do B&L and MRV.
You know, maybe he's right. Just set up.
We'll see.
Right from the start.
I would think that both are, so how do you want me to do this? You want me to schedule the meeting and share the date with you, or do you want me to do it some way else?
Well, are we gonna all five meet, which
No.
so we have the headache of being a public meeting?
I don't really want to, I prefer not to do that, if we don't have to.
Okay, were you
I mean-
dealing with prospective, people you're contracting with prospectively with the town? It is something that can be done in executive session. The meetings, just as we do with interviews, that's essentially. what
Which we
you do.
gotta call like a
So
regular,
it would be, you notice the public meeting, but then immediately go into executive session and conduct your interview.
Well, I'm not concerned about it being, maybe it should be done in that room, but that's not the part I was concerned about. Just, to avoid the hassle of calling a public meeting, but maybe, this is, to me, this is a huge decision. It's one of the bigger decisions we're gonna make. And, if we stick to what our plan was, that, we do RFPs for a 2-year span for any given, we're gonna commit, and we've got all these big projects, and they're all gonna start with the town engineer. I know they may end up being bid out to someone else, but they're gonna start with the town engineer. It's a huge decision, and if all 5 of us wanna be there, or 4 or 3 of us wanna be there, then I think we need to do what we need to do to allow everybody, all the board members who are interested in this, to sit down with these people and talk to them.
let's pick a date. We'll pick a date, and I will share it with MRB. And if they can't make it, then we don't have to worry about it.
Probably sooner would be better than later, in case we do wanna talk to B&L afterward.
Week of February 8th. Nothing could happen until 6 o'clock to accommodate Don. Monday's open for me. Tuesday's even open for me this, yeah.
That week is open for me, period. Whatever.
Wednesday is not open for me. Thursday is open. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday?
February 8th works, that Monday,
Yes.
does that work for everyone?
Works for me.
That work for you, Don?
That works for me, 6 o'clock.
Okay, I will contact MRB, 6 o'clock here in the courtroom.
We do it via Zoom.
As far as I can, we can do it Zoom, it's fine with me.
Don, you want to do Zoom?
I can come there.
Well,
as long as
if you
it's
guys
not-
want to do Zoom, I don't have a problem. I can set up a Zoom meeting. Dave, would be better for you
Okay.
probably anyway, right?
Zoom?
All right, I'll send out, I'll get an invitation to you, and it'll be a Zoom meeting on February 8th. You're going to attend this one, Steve? Steve?
Let's move on, Mr. Farrar.
Okay, all right. Well, I just want people to know that you wanted a Zoom meeting with our attorney and you never showed up. I just want people to know that, that's all.
Okay, we have to give a
And
public
Nikki,
notice
I'll take
right
care of
away.
my business, okay? You take care of your business, I'll take care of mine, okay? Okay.
You gotta get off your high horse.
There's no high horse, just,
Oh, there's a huge
just
high horse.
speaking truth.
Huge high
Just
horse.
speaking truth. That's all I'm doing.
So we'll do a public hearing notice.
Karma, my friend.
You gotta do a public hearing notice, right, Pat?
Yes, yes.
Yes, this will be, well, not a public
You're gonna-
hearing, but just a public
I mean,
meeting.
a public meeting, I'm
Public
sorry,
meeting
a
notice.
public meeting notice.
So.
But I don't have to worry about sharing it because we're gonna go into an executive session.
Well, it needs to be, placed on the board, it should be put on the website, and notify the press, but you do
Right.
not need to pay for a listing, like you do for a public hearing,
Right.
okay? So, if there's, and again, as a public meeting, if there's gonna be Zoom access, you can allow people to view it, but don't necessarily need to allow comments.
But I mean, the only, so, again, by the law, if it's it's a public meeting, I have to allow Zoom access
Yep.
for the 3 seconds to call the meeting to order and to make a motion to go into executive session.
Sure.
We're not gonna come out of executive session with any action, so
Yeah,
I still should do that.
yes.
Okay.
But if we've given them the link, how do we shut them out when we go into executive session via Zoom?
I can end the meeting,
Okay.
okay? Well, we have to come out and adjourn, don't we?
Yes.
So I can't end the meeting. So I guess I can leave the computer here and we can go into the conference room and have the executive meeting.
Well, no, because.
No, we can't do that. What am I talking about? We're not gonna be here. All right,
I know you can do breakout.
everybody goes in their bathroom and have the executive
Yeah,
meeting.
you can do breakout groups on Zoom, so there may be a way to isolate us from everybody else.
I don't know.
I'll try,
I don't know.
I-
But we gotta get it set up in 3. My guess is we're not gonna have anybody,
Before the end of the week.
It's gotta be,
Yes, sir.
Does it have to be put in
Yeah.
There's an
official
option
page?
that-
No? Okay.
Move
They
people,
have 2 days
anyone
out.
from the public out into a digital waiting room so that they can't hear what's going on inside the regular meeting.
okay,
So that can be accommodated.
that can be accommodated.
Same thing, all right.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. I'll figure that out between now and Monday. Okay. All right. So Monday, 6 o'clock
On Monday.
on Monday, the 8th, okay?
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, so this we can.
Okay, we have a resolution for label council services, whereas the town conducted, well, wait a minute, let me see for a second. Do I have to do, Pat, anything else with that resolution that was tabled, that's tabled and done with?
It's tabled and done with.
Thank you. Whereas the town conducted a request for proposal for labor council services due to the town clerk's office by December 21st, 2020, whereas the RFP was opened at a special board meeting conducted December 30th, 2020 at 12 p.m., whereas after review of the RFP by the town supervisor and other members of the town board, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls appoints Bond, Shennet, and King attorneys for Syracuse, New York, as the town's labor council for 2021. Do I have a second for that? Motion.
I'll second that.
Second. Discussion.
Are we in negotiations this year with the police union?
We are.
Okay.
But that's separate and above,
Correct.
regardless of who we work with. So to me, you said that Jim Romer was not interested in going into it.
Hourly rate.
And to me, that's the deal breaker, because
That's a,
it's been nice to have him as a resource, we've used him at times, but we're paying an awful lot of money for that.
And
The occasional,
his retainer doesn't cover negotiations,
you know,
union negotiation? I
that's-
thought it's
that was-
inclusive.
I've never been through negotiations, but that was my understanding.
no, the retainer,
No?
yeah.
His retainer covers,
The retainer covers negotiations.
Yeah.
The police union?
Okay,
Yeah, the
okay.
retainer covers.
that's why,
From something someone had been said that it.
so again, we're paying him $22,800 a year retainer. I think attorney fees add up real quick, we all know that. And I don't know that by switching to Von Shennick and King, start paying an hourly rate for that, I don't know, when you're in negotiations with the police union, what that amount's gonna add up to, but it's gonna add up real quick.
Well, when you get to negotiations with the police union, it's gonna be, the town, would have some type of we would have some type of idea where you wanted to go in the contract. I mean, the biggest two issues obviously is healthcare and, percent increases. And then we submit ours to them, and then they submit ours to us. And you have to have an attorney to finalize everything, but the actual sit-down and negotiations handled internally, most of it.
The other thing, to me, again, we're looking at a 2-year relationship, and, you know, those negotiations will end, and we'll still be paying that monthly retainer.
If the idea, at the end of the day, legal counsel, I assume for this, we don't really necessarily have a preference, we aren't looking at a big benefit one way or the other. I think Romer does a real good job. I mean, he's been counsel for Seneca County for, 10 years or so. A lot of the municipalities in the region. He does a super job. You heard the police chief say that, he's very happy with his response. And again, we're talking $22,800. That's not a lot of money when it comes to legal services, especially in a year where you're going into negotiations. If we weren't going into negotiations, you might say, oh, pay by the drink and we'll save some money because we don't have a lot going on. But we switch horses in the middle of this, and I just feel that Von Seneca King, through the year and the negotiations, are going to easily exceed $22,800.
Not based on the history of us using the labor attorney.
Well, none of us, who was here the last time we had
Dave's
negotiations?
the only one that's been through negotiations.
How, were you, do you know how much the attorney was involved? We certainly don't know what their hours are behind the scene. Maybe Pat can chime in a little bit here. But hours add up quick.
It's all behind the scenes.
Huh?
When you're doing negotiations, it's mostly behind the scenes.
It's mostly behind the scenes work.
Yeah.
It's a,
I think there's a lot of behind the scenes. I've been on the last two with the police, and him and their lawyer or their representative from the union, they do a lot of work outside. And then we come in negotiations, it's probably about 4 or 5 times, and hash over things, and then they go back out and go through it again, those two, and come back at us again. So there's quite a few hours in there. We're probably, I'd say probably in the 4 or 5 meetings that we had, we were there 2 to 3 hours right there right off the bat, sitting over here in the room talking.
You can drag out negotiations forever and ever, and you can pay legal fees and attorneys. Hey, the longer it takes to do it, the better off they are. But I don't think it's necessary to drag out negotiations. Again, there's not a whole list of things that are going to be opened up. The 2 biggest issues are going to be healthcare and percent raises, which were the 2 biggest issues the last time.
Yep.
No.
well, I'm not going to support switching to Von Seneca King this year, only because we are in this is negotiation years. We know what Romer's going to cost us. We don't know what this is going to cost us if we switch.
And just for the record, Romer is a very established law firm, and so is Von Seneca.
I understand that.
Any further discussions? Okay, all in favor of appointing Von Seneca King as the labor attorneys for 2021, please say aye. Aye. John, you said aye? All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
I did.
You what?
What'd she say, yes?
I think she said yes.
Don, you said yes?
Are you for or against?
I said yes.
And Doug?
4.
4.
Yeah. 4, got it.
Okay, so there's 3 to 2.
3 to 2, that was carried. Okay. All right,
G.
that's where we here. Here? Well, yeah, surplus, right? Make a motion to declare the following items surplus for the Seneca Falls Police Department. 2017 Ford Utility, 107,678 miles. Inland M1 carbine, serial number 421676. Items 1 will be sold at auction, and item 2 will be sold to a certified federal firearms dealer. Monies received from these items will go into the police department's surplus vehicle and equipment fund. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, comments? Stu, pretty cut and dry, right?
Yeah, that's what it is there, Mike.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Carried. Resolution year-end, no, presentation. There's nothing written on that?
No, there's nothing
Okay,
written, I
all right,
think
yep.
Chief can talk.
Okay, we have some information from Chief Peenstra about our police reform. Chief, all yours.
Okay, so, just to update the board, everybody knows, about the governor's executive order for police, reform that came out. We've been working on this for months and months, and, I've been, as I stated before, working on the conclusion of this police reform to present to the state. What we need to do is I need to present this, what I'd like to do is present this to the entire board and to the public, which then after that presentation, we will have a resolution to potentially pass that reform and then submit to the state. So all the public meetings and comments have been done previous throughout the county, which satisfies that. And then I'm working on all the different guidelines that were presented by the governor. I will share them as a draft form to all of you, I would say, probably in the next 2 weeks, so the board can review and take time and read it through and understand, ask me any kind of questions they may have. And then I've got about, I would say, 45-minute presentation that I would like to present to the board, describing all these different executive orders, and then, like I stated before, a resolution later on in that board meeting.
And we'd like to do this March 2nd, correct, Chief?
Yes, March 2nd at 5 o'clock, just before the board meeting. I figured that would be a good time since everybody's gathering at that point anyway.
Great.
Could we make 5:30? I don't get to work till 5.
Sorry about that, Dawn, I didn't think of that. We could do 5:30, I could just, try to, move it along. I don't know exactly how long it's gonna take because I don't have it finished yet, so I haven't been able to practice to see how long it's gonna take, so I just guessed about an hour or so.
Well, worst case scenario, Sue, if it's longer than a half an hour, we can move the regular meeting to 6:15 for that night, type of thing. No big deal, okay?
I'll try to get it in. I mean, the majority of the things our agency already complied with due to, accreditation, so
Okay.
it's really just going through each step of what, was required by the executive order and showing how our department has complied with it or how we are complying with it now.
Okay. So along that, I'd like to make a decision tonight if we can about our next May meeting, or excuse me, March meeting, to not Zoom it and not live stream it. And the numbers are going down. If people don't feel safe, they don't have to come. We can separate 6 feet, which we've been doing at the community center. Anyway, we've never gotten 50 people at the meeting since we came back from the live streaming, and it just makes life easier. We had a 15 minutes delay with the live streaming. That's just one glitch. Anything can happen here. And plus with the presentation, I'd like to do that for March. Is any issues with that?
I think we can plan on that. You know, if the numbers
battle
go
falls out.
haywire, you know, we're gonna have to change, but this is,
Okay.
the numbers are improving. Hopefully they'll continue to.
Mike, would that be at the community center? Just so
Yes, sir. As of right now, yes. Okay?
Okay,
Thank-
yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Mike, I would ask that, Finger Lakes be available also to stream that for us as well.
We can't tape it? It's gotta be live streamed? We tape the meetings. Why can't I tape
Well,
it?
no, it can be taped and then, Jimmy can, present it maybe.
Well, I mean, it's taped, it goes on public TV, and then we can provide it with a tape, and he can also put it on our website.
Can't be on the tape.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, unless there's some requirement, I mean, is there a different requirement that, I mean, the public, if they want to come and see it live, they'll have the opportunity, right?
Yes, yeah, no, there is no specific requirement. In fact, we had, Finger Lakes one, do that on
Yeah.
all of our public meetings throughout the
Okay. All right, thanks, Stu. Have a resolution for year-end budget transfers, February 2nd, 2021, whereas any budget is best guess for the annual expenditures of the town, and whereas there are lines in the 2020 budget which exceeded the budget allotment, and whereas the Office of the State Comptroller will not accept an annual update document submitted by the town with line items out of balance with its budget, therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the attached budget modifications to the 2020 town budget to balance all line items of the budget. Bev shared this with you a while back, and have a chance to look at those. Can I have a second for that, or support for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I,
All opposed? Carried. Have a motion dated February 2nd, 2021, year-end encumbrances, whereas there are incomplete projects and certain purchases still yet to be made for water and sewer, and whereas for the purpose of the water and sewer department, it's important to carry those line items amounts into the 2021 budget. Therefore, be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board approves encumbering the attached items amounts to the 2021 budget. Can I have support for that?
Second.
Thank you. And again, Bev shared this with you last week, and line items are things that are being carried over to 2021. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, next couple things we have is Town of Seneca Falls Water Meter Replacement Project, secret let's do this one first. Resolution of support and authorization for the Town of Seneca Falls 2020 New York State.
You skipped one,
I did?
yeah.
Which one?
Resolution for water meter replacement project.
That's the one I'm doing right now, right? There's two of
One
them?
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And the second one is, Green Renovation Grant Program.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
okay, got it.
Okay, so resolution of support and authorization for the Town of Seneca Falls 2020 New York State Consolidated Funding Application, okay, type of thing. So, we have, the Town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County supports the submission of a 2020 Consolidated Funding Application on behalf of the town for the Green Innovation Grant to improve water quality and mitigate the effects of climate change to the implementation of water efficiency, et cetera, et cetera. Be it further resolved that the town board does hereby authorize and obligates local matching funds of the minimum 25% of the total of any grant funding awarded in the form of in-kind services or cash contribution hereby appropriated from the general fund. And be it further resolved that the town of Seneca Falls recognizes and fully supports the submission of the 2020 CFA for the GIGP water efficiency project. Can I have support for that resolution?
Second.
Okay. I can let Emily explain this in more detail, but basically, this is potentially finding funding for replacement of water meters that Doug and myself have been working on with Joe Tullo as far as presentations and costs, effectiveness, and so forth. So if we could get some funding, that would be even more enhancing for the project. Emily, can you speak to this, please?
Absolutely. So yes, the town does qualify for this Green Innovation Grant Program, which I spoke to at the last meeting, which has a new category this year of water efficiency, which does cover water meter replacement. This is not something that has been funded a lot in the past. I haven't seen it. I think the last time was maybe over 10 to 15 years ago was the last time there was funding for meters. So when this new category was identified, we certainly want to jump on it and work with the town to ensure their eligibility, which they have. It does require a draft engineering report, which we have put together, and it is due next Friday, and this is a 75% match. So the town was moving forward with this, and now there's a potential for a 75% match through this grant application. So this is a letter, this is a supporting resolution that will show that the town supports the project and supports it moving forward. And the next resolution is going to be the seeker, that is also for the same application.
And Emily, this has got to come back to you ASAP, right? The documentation, the second page of the resolution?
We will be submitting it next week,
Okay.
so as soon as possible is wonderful.
Yeah, that's, I'll tell Nikki
Yeah.
to, the best thing is to scan it and send it over to you?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Can
all right.
can they do it scanned? Okay.
We can,
We'll do
we
that.
can do a scan in my
I
office.
can do it. I can do scanned.
Okay.
I'll do it.
I don't have to sign that one.
No, you don't.
Still under discussion?
Yeah.
Why was the seeker prepared by MRB Group, herein referred to as town engineer when they aren't? Paragraph 1. Either we have to amend this resolution, and second of all, don't we need to review that seeker, even a short form?
Yeah, that's what that resolution is. So, but yes,
The
But
seeker
the
is
list
the
of
next
questions?
resolution.
What's that?
it's the next resolution.
You just said the
Okay.
same
There are
thing.
2 resolutions.
Right.
The seeker
Why
will be
why
the
wasn't
next
this prepared,
resolution.
why wasn't?
Okay, so Emily, the seeker resolution is not officially, it's not doing the actual secra action, correct?
Correct. This is, because this is installation of water meters and it's not, it is considered a type 2 action, and the town doesn't have to take further action for seeker. And because we can know this ahead of time, we're able to pass this resolution and then include it in the grant application to make it stronger.
Okay. So on the first paragraph, it says, prepared by the MRB Group herein after referred to as town engineer on the above referenced Town of Seneca Falls water meter replacement project. So I can't leave that in there since that decision has not been made, type of thing.
That town engineer does not imply town engineer. It implies that anytime the word town engineer uses in the future of the resolution, then it's MRB Group. Or I'd be happy to change it and send it along as long as it would be passed as amended.
Do you have any problem with that, Pat, or?
Not at all. Don't-
Okay. All right. So, again, this is just the paperwork that's required to move the grant along. Plus, we had to get a couple of letters of support from Senator Helming and,
Brian Mantelo?
yes, thank you. Have you gotten those?
We have received the one from Senator Helming, and
Helming.
we're just, we anticipate those. We gave them a deadline on Friday.
Okay.
And we've been in touch with them, and they've been very supportive.
Okay, yep. Okay.
I'm just confused where, I'm reading fifth whereas, the town board has given consideration to the criteria for the determining significance as set forth, section of the seeker regulations. When did we do that? I mean, how can we prove something? I haven't given consideration to any seeker actions. Am I missing something here?
Emily, can you hear that question?
Oh, I haven't heard anything. No,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Do you have the resolution in front
I
of you?
don't hear anything.
You're muted or something. I can't hear you either, Mike.
You can't hear me right now?
Now I can hear you, but I couldn't hear anything that was being said.
Okay. So, I don't know what happened, nothing happened, but I didn't touch anything. So, Steve, can you repeat your question, and hopefully, Emily, you can hear this?
We have a whereas the town board has given consideration to the criteria for determining significance as set forth in section 617-7 of the seeker regulations. And, I as a member of this town board have not given consideration to anything. I mean, that implies to me that we should have been part of the seeker review process, as short as it is. I mean, type 2.
Sure, Councilman, if I, and if, is Paul on the line, if the attorney is on the line, there are certain actions that are, just automatically, that fall within a category that the town can just approve, that it's within their purview and there doesn't need to be further action. So it's not necessarily approving a secret action, but it's approving that it's under your purview. I want to make sure that I'm explaining that correctly. But so sometimes when a project is digging into the ground, that requires another level of seeker and a much different process. If something is considered a type 2, it's it means it doesn't need additional process. So it's saying we recognize that we don't need to do any additional work towards seeker.
Well, then it shouldn't say that, then it should not say that the town board is given consideration.
For the grant, it certainly helps, and it's certainly referenced in the grant application questions. But I would also maybe look to the town attorney to comment on that, who does comment a great deal on seeker. And that was the advice of our, based on someone who had reviewed the project.
Okay. Well, if it's to be a type 2 action, that's not what the resolution says. The resolution goes through and does a full determination of non-significance. It spells it all out, which is fine, but that is something that the board, A, needs to be aware of and to consider before adopting the resolution. The resolution outlines that taking a hard look.
Okay. Pat, can you come over here, please, because she can't hear you.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, Emily, here comes Pat.
So the resolution presented spells out a seeker review, spells out the town board taking a hard look at the required areas and making a determination of no significance. If this is supposed to be a type 2 action, that's fine, that may be. I'm going to check the regulations, see if it fits, but that's not what the resolution says. So and
Do you understand, Emily? I guess.
I guess I will absolutely take a look at that. However, I guess it's that reference within the seeker is for the type 2.
not in that resolution. Not in the resolution that I'm looking at. So, and maybe this action should be a type 2. I'm not sure. I'm going to look through the regulations right now.
Yes, please check the chapter that it references, because it references a chapter and an exact area, and that should be type 2.
But I guess what they're saying, Emily, it doesn't specifically say type 2 in the resolution. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. And if the attorney feels, we could certainly add that to the title. And I, of course, would want him to double check that that's checked in the chapter with the reference and the code is type 2 and is what this
That's fine. I think we're just talking about two different resolutions.
What's that?
I think we're just talking about two different resolutions. The one that we're all looking at doesn't say anything about this being a type 2 action.
Okay. Well, then my apologies. I apologize for that. That doesn't say type 2. Again, so we have two ways to move forward. We could add what it references, what it highlights, where it talks about the chapter. If that's talking about and referencing a type 2 seeker, then I can certainly add type 2 to clarify that. Or if the town isn't comfortable, we can also not pass it. So I would leave that up to the town board. But Pat, if you could just check, and we could always come back to it, is that the chapter that it references within the seeker is type 2.
It does not.
Is referencing the area that is regarding type 2 clarifications and determinations.
Yes, yes, it does not.
He said it doesn't, Emily.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we make a motion.
Can we
table
just finish the discussion
Can we-
for a minute? Okay?
Get it clarified. I'd like to make a motion, we table this until it gets clarified.
The grant is actually going to be submitted, it's due next Friday.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we can just not include it, or we can clarify it to be a type 2 action. We know that it's a type 2 action, and I can amend that resolution to.
Well, if we amend the resolution, then obviously we can't vote on an amended resolution between now and Friday. That makes sense? Is this an integral part of the grant process, this, the SECRA resolution?
It actually, it is not a direct, it will not directly affect the point value. It just gives to show that you are shovel ready, and the state does like to see shovel ready projects. We will certainly be able to answer that question and say that it's been discussed and that the town will follow all secret regulations as they normally do and follow the normal process.
Okay, so let's leave it at that, and then, in the meantime, Emily, if it's not critical, then whenever the time allows, then possibly, rewrite the resolution until we make it official in March, and why don't you send it to Pat for his preview, please? And, CC me in on it, and then we'll have a determination for March, okay?
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Should we still pass the resolution
we-
of support?
Well, we definitely, excuse me, Pat,
Yes.
we definitely, we passed a resolution of support for the project, the grant.
No, we didn't.
We didn't do that?
No, we jumped from one resolution to the other without voting.
All right, we didn't, you're right. We didn't take a vote, you're saying, you're right. Okay. So there's no, yeah, so there's nothing mentioned about the SECRA here, is there?
No.
No,
In the
not
first
two
one.
separate
All right,
resolutions, one
okay.
supporting.
Okay. So is there any further discussion on the first resolution as far as support for the grant application? Any questions or discussion? So all in favor of that, please say aye.
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 Okay. We have so Pat, I need to table this resolution?
I think that would be the thing to do right now, yes?
The second one, the secret one, right?
The secret resolution.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we table the secret resolution until further work is done. Have a second for that?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Wonderful. To the town council, we are writing to request release of $7,000 budgeted and approved for its Wonderful Life Museum to assist planning for the 75th anniversary of A Wonderful Life, as well as some of its Wonderful Life Festival costs. Plans for this year are underway. Our museum is planning 5 days of events from December 8th through the 12th for next year, I guess.
21, yeah.
And nobody knows what year it is. This one's dated January 21st, 2020. Please make the check out to the Seneca Falls It's a Wonderful Life Museum, blah, blah, blah. So I guess we're just authorizing, we've already approved the budget for them, just authorizing payment of $7,000. So all in favor of making a no, I gotta, yeah, motion, thank you. So I move that we pay Wonderful Life Museum $7,000 of their 2021 budgeted money. Have a second for that.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, we have a resolution. Reclassify 2 motor equipment operators to heavy MEO, heavy MEO mechanic, whereas a heavy motor equipment operator must be able to operate under general supervision in this class of employment, perform recurring manual duties in connection with the operation of complex heavy motor equipment, whereas for the purpose of highway department, this would include vehicle with a gross vehicle weight rating in excess of 26,000 pounds, whereas a heavy motor mechanic will have the ability to operate and repair said pieces. Therefore, be it further resolved that upon approval of the reclassification of these 2 positions by Seneca County personnel, that Timothy Pagano will be appointed to the heavy MEO position, and James Duffy will be appointed to the heavy MEO mechanic position with a wage adjustment to approve by the Seneca Falls Town Board at the Town Board meeting immediately following receipt of the approval to reclassify from Seneca County personnel. Can I have support for that resolution,
I'll
please?
second
Thank you. Discussion. Dave and Doug, I don't have a whole lot of input into that one.
This has been in the works for a long time. We've been talking about how to better organize who can do what, who's authorized to do what, who's capable of doing what in terms of the highway department staff. So this has been in conversation for a long time. The descriptions of these new positions have been sent to the county, I believe, for their approval. We don't need to wait for their approval before we act, but this is to better organize and delegate the abilities and responsibilities for the highway department.
Are there monies involved? These folks getting a,
There will be a yes.
on the road. This has been in talk with, like I said, since we did a matrix in county, because if they're, my understanding, if one of them get hurt right now doing what they're doing, they can go back at us. We have to make sure that they're under classification they're supposed to be.
do we know what the money is with the change in salary?
I don't know off the top of the head.
Wages? It ought to be included in a resolution like this. that way.
Well, it will be. I mean, that's to be.
Well, except that you're,
It's gotta come back to the county though, because the county's got, what do you call it?
oh, all right.
The wage, salary schedule.
And why wasn't this done when we did the matrix back in 2018 or 19?
The county is one of the ones up on how they wanted this done. They go through the county.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Didn't we just give these guys raises? Like bring them all up to where they were supposed to be and all that?
Well, we didn't actually give them a raise. It was a clerical error, so yes, they got back pay, okay, because there was confusion about their classification apparently, so they were not getting paid their rightly fee based on the matrix, okay? I don't know how this came about now. That's my only question is, why now? Why wasn't it done originally when you guys settled on you guys went through the matrix and you put people in those positions type of thing based on that?
To some degree, but our hands were tied by the union negotiations that were going on. So there were things that we talked about happening some down the line when we could, that we could not have done at that point.
Got it. So nothing was done because they were trying to unionize. Okay.
So I mean, this is part of it, the county is part of it, the fact that they have to sign off on these. I mean, just everything has taken time, but it was always, I mean, for the last 2 years, I mean, this has been a direction we're moving in to better clarify who can do what and who has to do what at the highway department. Because the classifications right now are not sufficient.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. Have a resolution, Water and Sewer Department for a dig box, whereas the Water Department is in need of a new digging box, and whereas the Water and Waste Treatment Department received 2 bids. J.C. Smith Incorporated and Ithaca was the lowest bidder for $5,265. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls and town board does hereby authorize the purchase of this box from J.C. Smith and Ithaca for $5,265. Can I have a support for this resolution?
Second.
Thank you. There's an attachment quote. I can only tell you that, and Doug and I met with Joe, you know, we have a dig box, but it's too big for most of the jobs that water and sewer does, and you know, it's a safety hazard, and they need something, you know, when they're in the hole.
Does the highway department have a dig box?
I have no clue.
No.
I don't think so.
I doubt it. They don't do that kind of digging.
Well, they work on manholes and, drainage.
Yeah, I mean drainage along the side of the road, nothing like
They
today.
don't actually go in the
And
ground.
Miller Street, they were 45 feet down.
No,
before they
no,
found
I know,
water.
but this doesn't go 45 feet down, right? This is only,
That goes where they put it, I assume.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I don't think the highway does.
yeah, no, it's just a question, I mean, you know, we.
But the problem right now, I don't think the highway department has one, I don't know why they
I've
don't.
never seen one
But-
anyway.
The one that the water sewer has now is basically room size, and it's sized to the point where there's sometimes the decision not to use it because it's too
Too
big.
big.
And then you get into safety issues. So you.
They use it today.
They did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they use it today. There was a deep hole,
Yeah.
45 feet.
And is it budgeted?
Yes.
I see he's got a bunch of budget lines up there.
Yeah.
All right.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried, 5-0. Resolution water and sewer surplus outdated equipment and truck, whereas the town water wastewater department is in need of putting various pumps, materials, and outdated parts, including a 2010 Chevy Colorado pickup out for surplus. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board is hereby authorized surplus in these outdated pumps, trucks, materials, and parts, placing them on Auctions International, and proceeds from the sale will be put into line item F2665, sale of equipment, and line item G8130.200 from the sale of the pickup. Can I have support for that resolution?
Second.
Second.
Questions? Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? So carried. Have a resolution here, interior, exterior sodium hydroxide spill containment system. Whereas the New York State Department of Health has requested the town of Seneca Falls activated sodium hydroxide treatment system to raise the pH. And whereas the town conducted a request for proposal for the engineering service for the design and construction oversight of the sodium hydroxide feed system, pumps, day tanks, piping, electrical wiring, pump controls, spill containment vessels, etc. Whereas after review of the RFP by the town supervisor and the superintendent of the water and sewer department, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls approves the engineering services provided by Barton and Ladrudas for the project at the cost of $37,600. Can I have a support for that resolution?
Second.
Questions, discussion?
Is this budgeted? Anybody know?
That's part of the PH project. That project is about $380,000,
So this is just a
and
piece of-
that would be part of that project.
All right.
So, again, going back to a town engineer, I hope we can continue this process, that when projects come up, like this one, for the design of it, it automatically doesn't go to the town engineer, whether it be Farrar or Hunt or MRV or whoever. They design should go out to at least the 3 engineering firms that we've identified, to get at least the 3, maybe more, to get the best possible value for our money.
Agreed.
Steve, any questions about that? Is it something you agree with?
Yeah, I'm not
or-
sure how that looks. You know, when we talk about that, it makes you wonder why we need an engineer.
Because you need an engineer mainly because of your water and sewer departments who have technical questions, and you're only paying the town engineer as you use them by the hour. Just like your town attorney, you're just paying them by the hour. So it's not like they're getting a stipend or some salary. They're needed mainly in water and sewer and in highway for opinions and direction. They're needed. And you pay them as you go. If you don't need them, you don't pay them. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Okay. A couple months ago, there was some, I forgot, some questions or suggestions. I've been working on this. I mentioned to you last month, I sent you the paperwork in January. Hopefully you've had a chance to look it over. So this is a program called Code Red, which would basically provide the town with the ability to inform our residents of different situations. Like today, on Miller Street, we have a boil water order in place, okay? We're at the mercy of our people going door to door and putting a notice on the door. With this type of a system, there would be an alert sent, either a phone call or a text message. There's all different options, as you noticed as you went through there. There would be people, designated people who would have access to push out the communications. Certainly water and highway, probably the town, you know, whatever. We don't have to make that decision tonight, but it provides a vehicle to keep our community informed about especially emergency situations, and certainly can be used for other types of communication. You know, if you want to announce a birthday party, you can do that, you know, something. School districts use a similar system. Most of them call it Connect Ed, where the school system can reach out to parents and guardians via phone call or an email or a text message. It's about, I think it's $2,000 for a year of service. That comes with about 3,000 phone numbers that it might be more, but they have, I guess they have arrangements with other vendors for phone numbers type of thing, yellow pages, white pages, etc. But then there'd be some work in building the database to collect people's information to, you know, be part of
Can I
it.
make a suggestion?
Sure.
I see that limit is, you know, $3,000. I'd rather see that,
You go with one of the bigger plans?
the bigger plan, for 3,000. I mean, you know, for 1,000 more, you're gonna get a lot better coverage and more.
And you can always add more. You start with that one plan, you could always probably pop it up to, if you felt like it wasn't. We've got to figure out who's going to be administering this.
Yeah,
We don't need it.
how do we get people into this? We're gonna have to
Like
go out
residents?
and, right,
Yeah.
we have to go out and make this information available and encourage them, right? It comes from the residents buying in.
Correct.
So it's gonna start slowly, I would think.
Yeah, yeah, there lies the issue. So you got obviously public meetings. We would obviously put everything out on our website, and then probably do some type of a news article release, maybe the Finger Lakes Times, our official newspaper, tell them about this new service, and then, you know, if you're interested as a town resident, please either call this number or, you know, that number. I would probably facilitate that out of my office with the help of Kim today, type of thing, to start, you know, she being the contact person via email or a phone number to call in and join your participation. I don't know any other way.
They
I'm not going door to door, I know that.
Right. They also talk about their app, so there may be a way for clients
There is.
to sign up directly
Yeah.
without having to
So, yeah,
go through the office.
you can push out the app to people, but you still gotta notify them that app's available.
Right.
So you're right, it'll go slow.
So I think it'll grow slowly, I think it's worth doing, it'll be interesting
Could
to
possibly
see.
do a mailing,
Do a mailing?
could
I
possibly.
mean, just a postcard.
Yeah, that's not,
Should we talk to
Possibly.
the county? I mean, this is really something that the county could use, and emergency management services up there, perhaps it would.
Like, what about the 911 system, would any of that be
Right.
helpful with
Same
that?
thing.
I think that's what Steve's talking about as far as potentially a county-wide program. I don't know if the county's interested. I haven't approached that to them. I mean, so you're saying in conjunction with the county?
No, I'm saying that the county implement a system like this. I mean, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. I mean, maybe they'd have to pay a little more than $2,000 to do countywide. We all pay county taxes, but it seems like it's something, because on top of this, you have to have somebody that, you know, like you said, you and Kim are gonna administer it and manage it. Well, it might become a little bit overwhelming real quick. Those folks certainly have the experience to deal with a product like this. It is a place where, you know, simple, I mean, I think we heard the water department say right now, they call 911, say, hey, we got a break on, in case anybody calls, we got a break on, you know, Rumsey Street. But I would think the county would jump at the idea.
Does the county jump on ideas?
I'm not,
You know, I mean,
I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
it might be
I've
worthwhile.
never seen the county jump for anything.
Well, it might be worthwhile talking to Emergency Management Services Director and see if she has any interest, and then perhaps she could take it to the board or committee.
I can do that. That you guys wanna look at that, explore that option?
I'm inclined to think.
We definitely need a system like this in the town and
We do.
in the county.
You know, the other question I have is, you know, how much can they tailor it? Does everybody get every message? Whether you live on Miller Street or not, you get a message about the boil water on Miller Street? Or can they tailor it to Miller Street residents? I don't know.
Yeah,
And it not necessarily won't work the other way, but it's just,
Right.
it's messages people don't need that don't apply to them.
but
And I think that would get worse for the county.
Well, I'm assuming that they can, certainly,
Yeah.
you know, they
I'm
talk
not
about,
100%
they
sure.
talk about
I'm pretty sure I
geolocation.
asked that question. They
They talk about it, I'm just
Yeah.
interested to see, and I don't think we'll know until we jump in.
They may have
It's
their
like-
eye on it.
Just like Connect Ed, you know, I could send a message out to just ninth graders.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? You got subgroups, so you can send a message out, I think with this system, just to people who live on Miller Street, based on their addresses. Not their phone numbers, but you have to have their address. obviously.
There's no long-term arrangement contracts other than a year at a time?
Correct.
I'm inclined to think we should go ahead with this, and if the county moves forward, great, you know, if that takes the place of this. But I don't think we should wait for the county.
This is a 3-year, it's a 3-year deal.
Oh, it's a 3-year?
Oh, it is?
Okay.
At 2,000 per.
Oh, okay.
2,000 per year? Okay.
I talked to the county only because this is their bailiwick, this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It really isn't ours, and it's not gonna be, you know, although it may not be all that difficult, I'm sure there's gonna be some upfront legwork, and there's gonna be the maintenance, and I don't know, if you feel you got the time, Kim has the time to do that, but
I don't have time for anything.
you know, the counties, you know, there's a department that does this. At least ask them. I mean, they might say, no, we've looked at it, we're not interested. Okay, then perhaps we do
Well,
it.
why don't we do this, like we can push this out into December or March, and in the meantime, I'll ask Melissa at 911, and I'll talk to Mitch and see if anybody's thought about this before. I agree with Doug, I think the bigger it becomes, the more unmanageable it becomes. But I mean, for the price that we're talking,
Well, we're
it's
one-third.
$2,000, I know that. It's not, I'm not saying 2,000 is not important, but for $2,000, I think potentially we have an opportunity to provide a tremendous service
Right.
to our
Agreed.
community.
But I think, my concern is the management of the system, it's not the purchase of it.
Okay.
Seneca Falls is 1/3 of this county.
Right.
So, you know, we're the bigger chunk, the other two chunk, you know, the rest of it, and they deal with it every day. They deal with these numbers, these people, these contact, roads, everything, every day.
See, Pat's better at reading, I skipped right over that, and I read the features, but
Yep.
missed the
I
three-year
missed that
license.
myself.
So, to me, if it's a 3-year thing, then yeah, we'll take a month and go to the county.
Okay.
But I think
Doesn't hurt to ask.
if they don't, I think we should definitely consider this on our own. Is there anybody else other than Code Red?
I couldn't find anything. but,
Well,
you know,
and perhaps this is.
I'm sure there is.
Perhaps we're willing to, we decide, we'll give you 2,000 a year to, you know, towards the system, county or whatever, we'll chip in,
No, I
pay
think,
for it. That way it makes it a little, maybe the county would like to get it, but they don't wanna pay the money. I'm just saying that, I'm sure they can manage it a whole lot better than we can.
Okay.
See, as I read this, I don't think management's gonna be a big headache, because it seems like they do most of that.
Well, except, number one, when things occur, right, in the middle of the night, right, they've got somebody sitting at a phone,
Yeah.
ready to send out that message to everybody. Here, right, I mean, who do you call? You call Mike, Mike's not home. What happens? Well, then you gotta call Kim, Kim's not home.
Well, no, I mean, for that, if it's something like an emergency situation, again, water and sewer, like Joe Tullo would be one of the people that would be able to push out a message, which would come under his responsibility. And Stu Peemster would be a person who could push out a message. You know, Stu could report that UFOs have landed at Vince's Park. So that would be his job, type of thing.
Could be, but
You know what I'm saying?
if he's gotta be in that hole, or if he's knee deep in the hole,
No,
those folks are there
Yeah.
for this type of activity.
I will,
And we can also, maybe not, maybe authorize the county person to push out a message. I mean,
we can,
if it's that kind of, if it's kind of situation that goes to their attention to begin with. So we can work on that.
I'll check it out and report back.
Thank you.
Okay, we have motion to approve water credits for the month of January. I'll make that motion. Can I have a second, please? Thank you. The water credits are listed there. This month is $1,733.04. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. So carried.
Approval, yeah.
Is there any other new business in front of this board?
Can we pay the bills before we go into executive session?
We certainly can, if it's okay. Can we pay the bills, Nikki?
Sure.
Okay. Make a motion to pay the bills for the month of January. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
Okay. Just, one of the bills in the pay the bills, is something you might not have, pay attention to. But there is a bill for, I think, there's a bill from MRB for like $1,600, for 165844, okay? So I had contacted Jane Nicholson from MRB and Matt Horn to provide assistance for a major project that's going on on 414. It's a company called Rev Group who is looking to purchase property, subdivide. The property has to be subdivided first. Purchase the property. It's a company that would use gas and sell gas credits to different places across the country. Most of them are in California. It's a complicated project type of thing, but there's going to be a road access off of 414, et cetera, et cetera. We have no person in zoning at the moment who has the expertise to handle these types of things. This first came to the town, or to the town's attention in September. We have, things didn't happen. They contacted me in early December, wanted to know what's going on. We're looking to get this project going, blah, blah, blah. So that's for their services. Doug, can you grab these for me? So one of the byproducts of this work is that there was a planning and zoning meeting on Thursday night that Jane attended, but this is a schedule that she provided to the project people, okay? So this is the legwork that, you know, they have to follow, and so it comes for final approval. So even with all that, you can see how long something like this takes, type of thing. But she detailed everything for them based on our codes and our town laws, type of thing.
Do we have any information about the project itself?
It's, the company buys,
You said, do we have any prospectus or?
we have it, yeah.
They made a presentation to the planning and zoning board last Thursday.
Okay.
Actually, so there is a,
Something else.
Preliminary plan.
There is a preliminary plan. It involves a subdivision, so there's maps showing where the new property lines would be, and a brief overview of the project itself. It involves, they contract with dairy farms, and the dairy farms themselves would have a digester on their own site, and that would really purify the gas that's generated by the waste from cows and it would be trucked from there to the facility that they're proposing here, and then piped into the existing pipeline. So the location of the project is simply based on where they can access this pipeline. And it just so happens that it's available on property along Route 414 here in the town of Center Falls.
So there's not a whole lot to the project as far as structures. As I said, it's an access road. They're talking about a structure on a concrete pad type of thing to house some equipment and hoses.
It would be approximately, I want to say 1,500 feet off the roadway. It would be a long driveway off the road, and then you would have the construction. It's near, I want to say Strong Road. It's on one side, near the metal recycling facility.
Right.
It's on the other side of the street,
Right.
and then this would be on the east side of the street, more or less, a little bit further south. But
Okay.
But these documents show this should be in the zoning office.
So I just wanted to explain that.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Okay, make a motion to pay the bills. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried.
So we have a request to go into an executive session, so if somebody would make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters under subsection F of section 105.1 of the Public Officers Law, and then
Hang on one
also
second. Hang on one
section H to discuss a matter involving the transfer of real property, and this could impact upon the fair market value of that property. So that it would be subsection H of section 105.1 of the Public Officers Law.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thanks, Brad.
And I don't think we're going to be taking any action. Jay, to make this official. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
No, come on, executive session.
Oh, we made that motion. in executive.
Yeah, but I didn't.
All right, Steve made the motion, I second it to
Okay.
come out of executive
All
session.
right.
And I make a motion to adjourn and Doug seconded it.
He certainly did.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Don, thank you.
Okay,
Good
bye.
night.
Good night. Good night.
See you later. See you, Roger.